Hello everyone, and welcome to the second game of the 6-game match, World Champion Vladimir Kramnik versus Deep Fritz. Before we check out the game, let's immediately dive straight into the photo challenge. So best of luck to everyone. Shouldn't be too hard of a photo challenge, but nevertheless. Here it is, who are the two gentlemen in the photo, and I will also be using this as an announcement for my next video, as it is quite a nice clash of generations. This photo is actually a stamp card, so, you know, very glad to see that such great events make it to the stamps. So regarding this match, in 2006, that's some 9 years since Garry Kasparov lost his match to Deep Blue, world champion Vladimir Kramnik is playing a 6-game match against Deep Fritz. The match was founded by some energy company, and it did get a lot of media coverage, as you know, everyone wants to see world champion battle the top engine that is available nowadays. Such offers were made to Magnus Carlsen, but he always refused them, as he says he has better things to do than, you know, struggle against an engine. But in 2006, the engines weren't so scary. I mean, they were scary, but not today scary. So Kramnik accepted this offer, and it's a very interesting game, as Kramnik plays perhaps one of the best games ever played against an engine, and he has the black pieces. So in the first game they played, Kramnik had the white pieces. That game was drawn. This is the second game, and you know, it'd be nice if he could draw this and then look for some chances with the white pieces, as that's how every player thinks. The match was played from 25th of November until December the 5th in 2006. As we've said, it was played in the National Art Gallery in Bonn, Germany. And here in the second game, Deep Fritz opens with d4. We have d5 and c4 here, and I did forget to take care of this. Okay, c4, we have d captures on c4. Kramnik accepts the queen's gambit, and here we have e4. E4 is a very different idea than from what most of you are probably used to if you've studied this, you know, idea behind books or something. Because as you'll see in the game, first I just want to cover this. If you play E3 now, opening up an attack from the bishop to this pawn, then defending it with B5 would be a pretty bad idea, because here A4 immediately attacks this, and after C defense, A captures, C captures, queen to F3, and there is no way to actually defend this rook. To prevent giving up a rook, you would have to give up a whole piece here. After queen captures, blocks, queen a6, black is completely lost here. But here I just wanted to show this. Instead of e3, Deep Fritz goes for e4. And now it's a different idea, and now it's in fact possible to play b5 here, and Kramnik does it. We have a4, c6, and now knight to c3. Now a captures on b5 doesn't really do anything, as queen to f3 will not attack the rook due to the pawn being on e4. So knight to c3 with a double attack on the b5 pawn, and now Kramnik pushes it, b4. Attacking the knight, knight to a2, and now comes knight to f6. Kramnik offers either the b pawn or the c pawn for the very strong central e4 pawn, but of course an e pawn is much more important than a c pawn or a b pawn, so e5. We have knight to d5, and now bishop captures on c4. e6, solidifying that knight on d5. Knight to f3, and now a5, now cementing that pawn on b4. Bishop to g5, attacking the queen, and queen to b6, getting the queen out of the way. So Kramnik is doing great here. We have knight to c1. The knight isn't really doing all that much on a2, so, you know, Fritz tries to find a more useful square for it. Bishop to a6, offering a trade of pieces, and now queen to e2. We have h6, forcing the bishop back, bishop to e3, and now comes bishop captures on c4. Queen captures on c4, and now knight to d7. We have knight to b3, and now comes bishop to e7. Rook to c1, developing the rook, and now Kramnik castles. And now you might think, why is Kramnik allowing Fritz to grab this c6 pawn? Seems like a very nice pawn. Well, if queen captures on c6, then queen captures, rook captures, and after knight 7 to b6, there's no way you can prevent knight captures pawn on a4. And the material would be equal, but 2-to-1 advantage on the queen side would prove decisive for black in the future. Perhaps not against, perhaps not against the Deep Fritz, but against a human, definitely. So we have castles, and now rook f to c8, defending the pawn.
queen to e2, and now comes c5. So Kramnik gets rid of his weak backwards c pawn, and you know, he's playing a dream position here. He's playing against Deep Fritz, and he has the black pieces, so everything is going his way for now. We have knight to d2, maybe considering jumping to c4, it would be a very nice square for this knight. So Kramnik goes queen to c6, attacking that a4 pawn. And now there's really no good way to actually defend the pawn other than going rook to a1, but you don't want to play rook to a1. That's like saying, okay, I have nothing better to play. So here Fritz plays queen to h5, and it does seem like a move. It really seems like a move you would play when you don't know what to play, you know, maybe out of panicking or something. But Fritz actually has a nice idea here. But Kramnik is not afraid. He plays queen captures on a4, grabbing a pawn. We have knight captures on c5, bishop captures, pawn captures, and now knight captures on e3. You could argue that instead of this d captures on c5, why not something like bishop captures on h6? Well, you don't really have an opportunity to create any sort of an attack here, because black will simply ignore you, moving the knight, and after queen g7 threatening checkmate, bishop to f8 blocking, white has no compensation for the extra knight. So after knight c5, d captures on c5, and now knight captures on e3. F captures on e3, and now bishop captures on c5. And as you can see here, Kramnik is up a pawn, but not only is he up a pawn, but his pawn structure is much better. Okay, now queen captures on f7 comes, so now the material is equal, but after king to h8, again you can see that white doesn't really have all that much here. The e3 pawn is extremely weak. It's a double pawn, but also a weak pawn, and Kramnik did achieve 2-to-1 advantage on the queen side. So queen to f3, you do have to defend the e3 pawn, and now rook to f8, attacking the queen. Queen e4, and now comes queen to d7. Kramnik wants to remaneuver the queen over to a7 to create this battery to pressure e3. We have knight to b3, attacking the bishop, bishop to b6, and now rook to d1, and queen to f7 now, threatening queen to f2. Rook back to f1, and now comes queen to a7. So Kramnik did want to play queen to a7, but first he played queen to f7 to get Fritz rook on a less active square. So rook to f1, and only now rook to queen to a7 with tempo, attacking the e3 pawn. Rook captures on f8, rook captures on f8, and now comes knight to d4. Here we have a4. Here, a4 is a very nice idea. Okay, you do allow white to capture the pawn on e6, but Kramnik saw something completely different than what Deep Fritz saw. So Kramnik did push a4, and it is in fact the strongest move. We have knight captures on e6, attacking Kramnik's rook on f8, and now comes bishop captures on e3. So if you capture the rook on e8, then bishop captures on c1. It's check, so king to h1 first, and here Kramnik plays an inaccuracy. Here Kramnik captured the rook, bishop captures on c1. What he should have done is rook to e8. Now the knight is attacked, but also the rook is under attack. And after rook to f1, now you cannot capture the knight because of rook to f8 checkmate, the queen is covering h7. Kramnik would have this queen to a6 move with a double attack on the knight, but also attacking the rook on f1, threatening checkmate. So after rook to f3, now attacking the bishop, this is the only move. Now comes queen captures on e6, rook captures on e3, and now queen to a6, threatening queen to f1 checkmate, and also pushing a3. Here black would have excellent winning chances, and it would take some truly some high-level engine play to get out of this one. So after king to h1, bishop captures on c1 was played, and here this is now a complete draw. Knight captures on f8 was played, but Kramnik played this because he saw something completely different. Here, of course, you have to play king to g8, and now it's a draw due to knight to g6. Queen to f7, threatening checkmate on f1, and now queen to a8 check. King moves, and knight goes to f8 with check. So the king can go here, the king has to go back, and now comes knight g6 check again, king h7, and knight to f8 with check, and we have a draw by repetition. So this is what was bound to happen after Kramnik decided to play bishop captures on c1 and knight captures on f8. But instead of king to g8, Kramnik played queen to e3.
And Kramnik's idea is a very nice one, and that is why I used this quote above the board by Aaron Imzovic. The beauty of a move lies not in its appearance, but in the thought behind it. So Kramnik's thought behind queen e3 was, okay, you will either capture my queen, I will capture back, and then a3 basically wins the game. Or you will move your queen, and then I will play queen to e1 checkmate. So seems very reasonable to play a move like queen to e3. But Kramnik missed a very subtle move by Deep Fritz. So feel free to pause the video here and try to find the move that world champion Vladimir Kramnik missed in this position. I will give it a couple of seconds, you know, just so you decide if you want to try it or not. So okay, for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations, as it is fairly obvious. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, here Deep Fritz played queen to h7, and this was checkmate. So this is what Kramnik missed. He missed mate in one, and you know, it happens to everyone, and even to a world champion while enjoying a better position against Deep Fritz. So yeah, it was a very unfortunate moment for Vladimir Kramnik, losing the second game of this match, and the game continued. The next 3 games were drawn, and then also Kramnik lost the final game, and the result in the end was 4-2 for Deep Fritz. And like I said, this match did receive a lot of media coverage, and especially when a world champion misses a checkmate in one move, then you know it's gonna make the headlines. So yeah, that's basically it. I do hope you enjoyed it, and we do have a photo of this moment after knight f8 and queen to e3. So here it is. This is a moment that there you see Vladimir Kramnik on the right, and Mr. Human that's making the moves for Deep Fritz. It's a position before Kramnik's queen went from a7 to e3. There you can see Kramnik's queen still on a7. So yeah, there's that photo. So yeah, just wanted to share that as well. So yeah, once again, that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. Best of luck to everyone in the photo challenge. I would like to thank Richard Rosman and Amadeus Kosik for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon with the video from the photo challenge. And if you haven't voted for my next series, in the link in the description below, the first thing you will see is a link to my community tab on YouTube where you can vote for my next series. Thank you all, and I will see you soon.